So what do you think about the Fed and their independence in light of this sort of a situation?
Yeah.
Like they want to be independent and run things that don't
Yep.
accommodate these national security concerns? Or how do you think about the independence of the Fed?
So it's funny because I've had pretty strong feelings on this and been expressing them for the last couple of years. And I am of the opinion that the Fed has never been independent. They've had autonomy. They've allowed, the government has allowed them to operate in certain ways within a certain band, but they've always had the ability to take it away. The Congress created the Fed with a stroke of a pen, and they can remove the Fed with a stroke of a pen. And at the end of the day, a central bank of any country, the purpose of the central bank is to perpetuate the status quo. They are the lender of last resort. Anytime an economy falls or crashes, or a currency falls and crashes, the government finds itself out of work as well. So keeping a calamity from happening, and therefore the government losing relevance and its ability to govern, is the point of a central bank to begin with. So the idea that the government put in place something that is not going to help them do that, in my opinion, has always been silly. Now, as far as I think because of what has happened over the last several years, especially with all the bailouts and then with the high inflation that followed, the Fed has done themselves no favors in the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
And Besant and Trump are now trying to, quote unquote, rein them in, so to speak. And I think that they will be successful in doing that. I've said for a long time, I thought that the Fed and the Treasury would ultimately get merged, whether that's an official thing or whether it's just behind closed doors. I think that's where it's headed. And I think that is especially the case with Warsh. I would be surprised if Warsh didn't play ball with what Besant and Trump are trying to do in Lutnick. My guess is that Trump will get pissed off at him quicker than Besant will.
Yeah.
But I think perhaps the combination of Besant and Warsh and Lutnick, maybe the three of them against Trump, can kind of keep him. I don't know if anybody can keep Trump in bounds, but perhaps those three have a better shot than everybody else. But I do think that I think the central banks, and this is definitely the Fed, but I think it's also the ECB, the PBOC, the Bank of Japan, all of them. I mean, I think they are going to become more explicitly tools of the state going forward.
And do you think that's a good thing? Do you think they should be?
No, I think it's a horror.
Why is it a horrible thing? To
Well,
me, it seems like,
okay, so-
why would you want to have this unaccountable, unelected group of bankers that answer to
Right.
nobody and they can just do whatever they want, as opposed to working to help the will of the people that voted?
Yeah, so I suppose we need to define what a good thing and a bad thing, what that means. I mean that based on my own personal beliefs of free markets, right?
Well, we should have
that's
no
not a good
Fed.
thing.
I would say we could have no Fed.
Right. But if we get back to this is the world we have and we're trying to win the game, then you want the Fed on your side.
Yeah.
And you don't want them off doing something that isn't part of the team. The example I have used many times is, I'm a movie buff. I love movies. I love movie quotes. And there's a famous scene from the movie The Untouchables where Robert De Niro plays Al Capone, and he hosts this big dinner with all of his lieutenants there, and he walks around with a baseball bat, and he's making this baseball analogy, and he's basically saying, we are all part of a team. Everybody does their job, and if anybody gets out of line, then they're no longer on the team. And he hits one of the guys over the head with a baseball bat. I kind of feel like that's the environment we're in now. And it not just the U.S., the whole world. Like,
Yeah.
We're in this kind of rougher and tougher world right now than we have been. And, power seems to, power plays seem to rule out over, any kind of diplomacy. And I think having the central bank on your side is part of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of world we're going to have as countries compete for resources in the years ahead.
I think that's what Mark Carney said at Davos a few weeks ago. He said, if you're not at the table, you're on the plate, or something to that
Yeah.
effect. But I would say,
Right. That's right.
do Yeah, I'm with Ron Paul. Like, in the Fed, like, we should just be done with that. I like a sound money standard.
It's funny because
but-
and our friend George has the hat in the Fed,
Yeah.
and I don't when all of those people who said prayed for the end of the Fed. I don't think they thought that Donald Trump would take over in its place.
Yeah. Well, but that's an ideological view. The reality is we have a Fed. So given where we're at, I think when I think about the Fed, number one, like, depends on which side of the Creatures of Jekyll Island book you fall on. They're either a cabal of bankers that have no control, or maybe there's, to your point, maybe Congress could rein them in, maybe theoretically. However, we have them. But the problem, it seems like, and back to sort of Warsh's comments, and Besant's made the same thing, they're too, what do you say, they're too analytical, or they're too, what do you call them? Anyway, they sort of operate in like this rear view mirror, like managing the chairs on the deck of the sinking Titanic versus like thinking forward. So it's like, we need to like win this AI race. Like, we need to just do that. And like, we need to get our military rebuilt. Like, we need to just do that. And that's like a 5 or 10 year, 15-year plan. And so we can't just be managing the economy based off the CPI reading this quarter. Like, we have to think, like, where are we going in 5, 10, 15 years? And that's where I think like that independence, number one, like, why should we just have these bankers doing whatever they want? That doesn't seem like a good idea. But number two, we need to be working together to sort of like build that vision into reality. So
I will say this, even though I don't necessarily like what's going on in the world, it's really, really, really fascinating.
It's interesting.
And for somebody who, for someone who likes the things that I like, right, like geopolitics, international relations, markets, the madness of crowds, it's really, really fascinating.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is frustrating though to see. You said I think you said the madness of the crowds. It is frustrating to see the masses and how easily they're able to be swayed and blown with the wind. It is a little frustrating. We see it a lot more today than I think ever before, but it's fascinating.
It is.
Hey, if you like this short conversation I just had, you're going to love the full-length conversation. Don't miss it. You can go ahead and click right over here, and I'll see you over there.